The night my husband and I were supposed to celebrate our fourth wedding anniversary, my mother-in-law stood in her living room holding an empty blue velvet ring box and told everyone I had stolen from her family. Not lost it, not misplaced it, stolen it. And while I stood there with dishwater still drying on my hands, surrounded by his parents, his sister, his aunt, his cousins, and two family friends from their church, my husband looked at me and said the sentence that still makes my stomach tighten. "Sarah, maybe just empty your purse so we can all move on." That was the moment I understood I was not being asked to help find a missing ring. I was being asked to prove I was not the kind of woman his family had always wanted me to be. A thief. A liar. An outsider who had finally shown her true face. What they did not know was that the upstairs hallway camera had recorded almost everything. What my mother-in-law did not know was that my husband had installed those cameras himself a year earlier after some packages disappeared from the porch. And what nobody in that room knew was that I still had access to the app. My name is Sarah. My husband is Mark. We had been together almost 7 years and married 4. His mother, Linda, had never liked me, but she had always been careful about it. She never screamed. She never called me names in public. She was much smarter than that. She corrected me with a smile. She made little comments about my cooking, my clothes, my family, my job, my timing, my manners. She called my choices interesting. She called my boundaries modern. She called every disagreement Sarah being sensitive. For years, I let myself believe it was manageable. I told myself every family had difficult people. I told myself Mark loved me, and that was what mattered. The problem was that Linda understood something I did not want to admit. Mark loved me, but he was trained to keep his mother calm, and Linda knew exactly how to use that. 2 weeks before our anniversary dinner, she suddenly became sweet. She called me herself, which was unusual. Normally she called Mark. Then Mark would say, "Mom wants to know if we can come by." Like we were both guests in decisions she had already made. This time she called my phone. "Sarah," she said warmly, "I think it's time we stop being so stiff with each other. You and Mark have been married 4 years now. Maybe we should finally behave like family." I remember feeling stupidly hopeful. That is the part I hate admitting. I wanted her to mean it. She invited us to an anniversary dinner at her house. She said she wanted it to be intimate, just family, and that she had something very special she wanted to pass on to us. Mark later told me she meant his grandmother's wedding ring. I had heard about that ring for years. Linda spoke about it like it was a sacred object. It had belonged to Mark's grandmother. A small gold band with 3 tiny diamonds. It was not huge or expensive looking, but Linda treated it like it held the entire moral history of the family. Whenever she mentioned it, she talked about loyalty, sacrifice, tradition, and women who understood the weight of a family name. Usually, that last part came after looking at me. Still, I tried to be optimistic. I even bought Linda flowers the day of the dinner. I arrived at her house around 3 in the afternoon because she had asked me to help set up. Dinner was at 6. Mark was coming later after work. Linda opened the door wearing pearls and an apron that looked too clean to have been used. "Oh, good," she said, touching the air beside my cheek. "You're early. I was afraid we'd have another Christmas situation." Last Christmas, Mark and I had been 15 minutes late because his car battery died. I smiled and handed her the flowers. She took them, looked at the stems, and said, "These will do." Then the little jobs began. She asked me to check the upstairs sitting room again because she thought she had left extra napkins there. The upstairs sitting room is a small den at the end of the hallway. It has a love seat, a side cabinet, a bookshelf, and a doorway visible from the hallway camera. The camera does not show the inside of the room, but it shows who goes in and out. That camera became the only reason I did not lose my mind later. I was upstairs 3 separate times before dinner. I carried flowers. I moved chairs. I arranged photos. I did not see the ring. I did not see the blue velvet box. I did not open any drawers. I did not touch a purse, jewelry case, cabinet, or bedroom door. At around 5, Mark's sister Chloe arrived with a cream-colored purse pressed against her side. Chloe is Linda's daughter, 31, single, pretty in the polished way Linda approved of, and terrified of disappointing her mother. She gave Linda a bottle of wine and announced it cost more than the dessert. Then looked over Linda's shoulder at me. "You look tired," she said. "Long week," I answered. Linda smiled without looking at me. "Sarah has been helping all afternoon. She's been all over the house." It was such a small sentence. All over the house. I felt something tighten inside me, but I ignored it. That was what I had always done with Linda's comments. I filed them under probably nothing, because calling them out made me look difficult. During dinner, Chloe kept her purse in her lap. Not on the chair beside her, not on the floor. In her lap, even while eating. I noticed because she adjusted it every few minutes. Like she was afraid it might move by itself. I remember thinking it was strange, then immediately scolding myself for being suspicious. After dessert, Linda tapped her spoon against her glass. "I have something to say," she announced. Everyone quieted. Robert, my father-in-law, looked surprised. That stood out to me later. At the time, I just thought maybe Linda had not told him the exact plan. Linda spoke about marriage, about loyalty, about family women, about how some people are born into a family and some have to earn the right to be trusted by one. It was uncomfortable, but I thought maybe this was her awkward way of being sentimental. Then she went upstairs. Chloe's hand tightened around her purse strap. Linda came back down holding a small blue velvet box. "This belonged to Mark's grandmother," she said, voice trembling. "I had hoped tonight would be a night of healing. I had hoped to pass this forward as a sign of trust." She looked directly at me on the word trust. Then she opened the box. It was empty. For one full second, nobody understood what we were seeing. Then Linda gasped like she had been stabbed. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." Robert stood. "Linda, what happened?" Chloe said. "Mom?" Linda turned the box toward the room. "My mother's ring is gone." My first reaction was concern. That sounds pathetic now, but it is true. I stepped forward and said, "Maybe it fell out upstairs. We can look." Linda looked at me with tears already shining in her eyes. "It was in this box when I put it in the upstairs sitting room before Sarah was cleaning in there." The room changed. I felt it before anyone spoke. Every face turned slightly toward me. Not all the way. Just enough. I said, "What?" Linda held the box against her chest. "I'm not accusing anyone. I would never want to believe something like that. But that ring was there before you went upstairs, Sarah." Chloe whispered, "Mom, don't do this here." That whisper made it worse. It sounded like she was trying to stop an accusation she already believed. I looked at Mark. I needed one sentence from him. Just one. My wife did not steal anything. Instead, he looked from me to his mother to the empty box and said, "Everyone needs to calm down." Not Mom, stop. Not Sarah would never. Everyone. As if my humiliation and his mother's accusation were equal problems in the room. Robert suggested we search upstairs. I agreed immediately. I wanted every drawer opened, every cushion moved, every napkin unfolded. I still believed this could be corrected with enough obvious innocence. We searched the sitting room, the hallway, the guest bathroom, the kitchen, the dining room, and the area around the stairs. Linda kept repeating, "I know where I put it." Chloe kept saying, "Mom, breathe." Denise, Linda's sister, watched me the whole time, like she was waiting for guilt to leak out of my sleeves. Then Denise said, "Sarah, maybe you should check your purse, just to eliminate the possibility." I actually laughed. I thought she was joking. Nobody laughed with me. I said, "You want me to empty my purse?" Linda closed her eyes as if this was painful for her. "If you have nothing to hide," she said softly, "it would help everyone feel safe." Safe. As if I was dangerous. I looked at Mark. He rubbed the back of his neck and said, "Sarah, maybe just empty your purse so we can all move on." There are sentences that end something even if nobody realizes it in the moment. That was one of them. I slowly placed my purse on Linda's coffee table and emptied it. Wallet, keys, lip balm, receipts, tampons, a phone charger, sunglasses, a folded grocery list, everything. My hands shook so badly my keys fell onto the table with a sharp little sound. The ring was not there. No one apologized. Denise said, "Coat pockets too." I stared at her. Linda whispered, "Please, Sarah, don't make this harder than it needs to be." So I emptied my coat pockets. Nothing. Still. No one apologized. Then Linda said the sentence that showed me this was never about finding the ring. "Maybe we should give Sarah time to think about what family honesty means." I looked at Mark again. He did not look at me. We left soon after. In the car, I waited for him to say he was sorry. I waited for him to say his family had gone too far. Instead, halfway home, he asked, "Why were you upstairs so many times?" I turned in my seat. "Are you serious?" "I'm not saying you took it," he said quickly. "I'm just trying to understand what happened." "You're asking me to explain why I did the jobs your mother gave me." He gripped the steering wheel. "Sarah, my grandmother's ring is gone. And your wife was searched like a criminal." He did not answer. When we got home, I went into the bathroom and cried into a towel because I did not want him to hear me. I was not crying because Linda hated me. I already knew that. I was crying because Mark had let her turn me into a suspect. By morning, Linda had already started building the official version. In the family group chat, she wrote, "I am heartbroken. A precious heirloom disappeared during what should have been a celebration of marriage. I pray whoever knows where it is finds the courage to return it before more damage is done." Denise responded with a broken heart emoji. Chloe wrote, "You didn't deserve this, Mom." A cousin wrote, "Family doesn't steal from family." Another wrote, "Some people show who they really are, eventually." No one used my name. They did not have to. Mark did not respond. At breakfast, Linda called him. I could hear her voice from across the kitchen. She said she had barely slept. She said she could not stop picturing someone's hands on her mother's ring. She said she did not want to destroy Mark's marriage, but a husband needed to know who he was living with. Then she said, loud enough for me to hear, "A woman who steals from family will lie about anything." Mark looked at the floor. After he hung up, he said, "Mom wants us to come over Sunday after church. She wants to settle this privately before it becomes worse." "Settle what?" I asked. He looked exhausted. "She wants you to apologize for the confusion and return anything you might have picked up accidentally." I stared at him. "Accidentally stole?" "That's not what I said." "That is exactly what you said with nicer words." He snapped then. Not loud, but sharp. "Sarah, refusing to help makes you look guilty." There it was. Not Linda's suspicion. His. That was the second time something inside me went quiet. I stopped trying to convince him emotionally. I stopped begging him to remember who I was. I started paying attention. I replayed the entire dinner in my head. Linda suddenly becoming sweet. Linda sending me upstairs again and again. Linda saying I had been all over the house. Chloe clutching her purse. Robert looking surprised when Linda announced the ring. The way Chloe whispered, "Don't do this here." Like she already knew what this was. And the biggest thing, if Linda had really planned to give us the ring that night, why had Robert looked like he was hearing it for the first time? That afternoon, Denise texted me privately, "Sarah, I'm going to be blunt. Linda is willing to forgive you if the ring is returned quietly. Don't make Mark choose between his wife and his family." I read it 3 times. "Forgive me." Returned quietly. Choose. The trap was no longer subtle. I typed, "I did not take the ring." She replied, "Then prove you respect this family by ending this before Linda has to take further steps." Further steps. That was when I opened the camera app. I almost did not do it. The cameras were in Linda and Robert's house. Even though Mark had installed the app on both our phones, part of me still felt like I was crossing a line. Then I remembered standing in Linda's living room while she watched me dump tampons onto her coffee table. I decided the line had already been crossed. The upstairs hallway camera had motion clips. I found myself first. Me carrying flowers into the sitting room. Me leaving with the same empty vase. Me carrying folding chairs. Me leaving empty-handed. Me going in with framed photos. Me leaving with 2 frames. And nothing else. Every clip showed the same thing. No ring box. No pouch. No jewelry. No bulging pockets because I had no pockets. I saved them immediately. Then I scrolled backward. 23 minutes before I arrived, Linda appeared in the hallway holding the blue velvet box. She walked toward the sitting room. Then she passed it. She went into her bedroom. I watched it again. My skin went cold. A few minutes later, Linda came out of her bedroom holding the open blue box in one hand and a small dark pouch in the other. She looked toward the stairs, then toward the hallway camera, then turned into Chloe's old bedroom. The camera did not show inside that room. It did not need to. I kept scrolling. After Chloe arrived, she went upstairs alone. She entered her old bedroom for less than a minute. When she came out, her cream-colored purse was pressed tightly against her side. I sat on my couch staring at my phone until the screen dimmed. I thought proof would make me feel powerful. It did not. It made me nauseous. This had not been a misunderstanding. It had not been grief. It had not been a lost heirloom and bad timing. Linda had used her dead mother's wedding ring as bait, and Chloe had helped. I saved every clip to my phone, uploaded them to a private folder, and emailed them to myself. Then I screenshotted the group chat and Denise's message. I also screenshotted Linda's Facebook post when I saw it later that evening. She had posted a photo of the empty blue box on her dining table. The caption said, "Sometimes the people you welcome into your home are the ones who wound your family deepest. Protect your traditions." Again, she did not name me. Again, she did not have to. There were comments from relatives, neighbors, church friends, praying for you. You have always been too kind. Some women marry into families and think they can take anything. That last one had 32 likes by the time I saw it. I did not show Mark the clips. Maybe that sounds cruel. I needed to know something before the evidence did the work for him. I needed to know if my husband would choose me because he trusted me, or only because a camera cornered him into believing me. When he came home that night, he said, "Mom says Sunday will be the last chance to handle this without everyone getting involved." I said, "Everyone is already involved." She posted about it on Facebook. He closed his eyes. "She's hurt." "No," I said. "She is performing hurt." His face hardened. "You don't know that. Do you think I took the ring?" He hesitated. It was less than 2 seconds. "It was enough. I don't want to think that," he said. "That is not an answer." He sat down at the kitchen table. "I don't know what to think. My mother has no reason to lie about something like this." I almost laughed. He could imagine me stealing. He could not imagine his mother lying. That told me everything about where I stood. I said, "Then maybe you should stay with your mother until you decide whether your wife is a thief." He looked wounded, which made me angrier. He had watched his family treat me like a criminal, but the suggestion that he leave our house for one night hurt his feelings. He packed a small bag. At the door he turned and said, "If you remember anything, please tell me before Sunday. I don't want this to ruin us." "It already ruined something," I said. He left. Saturday morning, Robert called me. Robert rarely called anyone. He was the kind of man who let Linda talk because it was easier than disagreeing with her. His voice sounded tired. "Sarah," he said, "I want to ask you directly. Did you take the ring?" "No," he exhaled. "I didn't think you did." For 1 second, I almost cried. It was the first sentence from that family that felt like a hand reaching toward me instead of a finger pointing. I asked, "Then why didn't you say that Thursday night?" He was quiet for a long time. "Because I should have," he said. Then he told me something important. Linda had refused to let him search their bedroom after the dinner. When he suggested checking the safe and the insurance folder for photos of the ring, she became furious and said he was humiliating her in her grief. He also said he had never agreed to give us the ring that night. "She never discussed it with me," he said. "That ring was my mother's. If Linda wanted to pass it on, she should have told me." I almost showed him the clips then, but I did not. Not because I wanted drama, because Linda survived by turning private conversations into distorted stories. If I showed Robert alone, she would say I had manipulated him. If I sent clips quietly, she would say they were incomplete. If I confronted Mark alone, he would call his mother before his brain caught up to his eyes. I needed Linda to repeat the lie in front of everyone. And then I needed the truth to arrive where the lie had been planted. Sunday came. I wore the same black dress I had worn to the anniversary dinner. Not because I wanted symbolism, because it was the dress they had accused me in, and I wanted them to look at it again when the camera proved it had no pockets. I sat in my car outside Linda's house for almost 10 minutes. My hands were shaking. I was not afraid of the truth. I was afraid of finding out how many people would still prefer Linda's lie after seeing it. When I walked in, the living room had been arranged like a courtroom. Linda sat in the center of the sofa with Chloe on one side and Denise on the other. Robert sat in the armchair, stiff and pale. Mark stood near the fireplace. 2 cousins, an uncle, and Linda's church friend Paula were also there. Too many people for a private conversation. Exactly enough people for pressure. Linda's makeup was perfect. Her eyes were red. She looked prepared to be pitied. As soon as I sat down, she said, "I want to begin by saying I am willing to show mercy." I said nothing. She continued, "What happened wounded this family. Not because of money. The ring is not about money. It is about legacy. It is about trust. And when someone who married into a family violates that trust, there must be accountability. Married into. Not joined. Married into." Denise placed a sheet of paper on the coffee table. I looked down. It was a handwritten statement. I could see the first line from where I sat. "I apologize for removing the ring and causing pain to the family." My body went cold. Linda said gently, "This does not need to go further. If you sign this, return the ring, and agree not to attend family events for a while, we can protect Mark from more embarrassment. Protect Mark from the accusation against me." Mark looked at the paper like he had not known about it. I turned to him. "Did you know they were asking me to sign a confession?" He looked at his mother. "Mom?" Linda snapped. "It is not a confession. It is accountability." I looked back at Mark. "Answer me." He swallowed. "No, I didn't know about the paper. But you knew they wanted me to apologize." He did not answer fast enough. Linda leaned forward. "Do not twist this onto my son. You were alone upstairs, Sarah. You were asked for honesty. And instead you made everyone else uncomfortable." I said, "Was the ring in the upstairs sitting room when I got to the house?" Linda straightened. "Yes." "In the blue velvet box?" "Yes." "And you personally put it there before I arrived?" "Yes." "What time?" She blinked. "Before you arrived." "What time?" "I don't remember the exact minute. But you remember it was in the sitting room." "Yes." "And I was the only person who went in there after that?" Linda's eyes flicked to Chloe. "Just once." "Yes," she said. Chloe whispered, "Mom." I turned to Chloe. "Do you want to correct anything before I show what I brought?" Her face drained of color. Linda stood up. "You will not threaten my daughter in my own house." "I'm not threatening anyone," I said. "I'm asking if she wants to stop lying before the camera does it for her." The room went silent. Mark's head snapped toward me. Robert stood first. Without a word, he picked up the TV remote and handed it to me. Linda said, "Robert." It was not a request. It was a warning. He looked at her and said, "Let her show it." That was the first crack in Linda's courtroom. I connected my phone to the TV. My hands shook so hard I nearly dropped it, but the first clip opened. The upstairs hallway appeared on the screen. There I was, walking into the sitting room with flowers. I came out carrying the same empty vase. Second clip. Me carrying chairs. In and out. Empty hands. Third clip. Me with framed photos. Visible hands. No box. No pouch. No ring. I paused the screen on my dress. "I had no pockets," I said. "You all saw me empty my purse and my coat. If anyone sees me carrying a ring, box, pouch, or anything that could hide one, say it now." No one spoke. Linda recovered first. "That proves nothing," she said. "You could have slipped it somewhere else in the room. I thought you said the ring was already gone when you opened the box downstairs." Her mouth tightened. I played the next clip. Linda appeared on the screen, holding the blue velvet box. She walked toward the sitting room. Then she passed the sitting room door. She went into her bedroom. I paused it. The room was so quiet I could hear the hum of the TV. I looked at Linda. You told everyone you put the ring in the sitting room. Linda's lips parted. No sound came out. I played the next clip. Linda came out of her bedroom holding the open blue box and a small dark pouch. She looked down the hallway. Then she walked into Chloe's old bedroom. Chloe made a small sound, not a word, just enough fear to tell everyone she knew what came next. I paused the video. I said, "This was 23 minutes before I arrived." Robert slowly turned toward his wife. "Linda." Linda shook her head. "No, that is not what it looks like." I said, "Then explain what it is." She looked at Mark. "Tell your wife to stop this." Mark did not speak. I played the final hallway clip. Chloe arrived. Chloe went upstairs. Chloe entered her old bedroom. Less than a minute later, Chloe came out holding her cream purse tightly against her side. I stopped the video. Then I opened Chloe's text thread on the TV. My message: "Why did you go upstairs before dinner?" Chloe's reply: "Bathroom." My reply: "The upstairs bathroom is not in your old bedroom." No answer after that. Chloe started crying. Linda said, "Chloe, do not say anything. That was the wrong sentence." Robert turned to his daughter. "Give me your purse." Chloe shook her head. "Dad, please. Give me the purse." Linda stepped between them. "No. This is ridiculous. My daughter is being bullied now because Sarah refuses to take responsibility." Robert's voice changed. It became quiet in a way I had never heard from him. "Linda Mavi." She froze. That was the second crack. Chloe slowly handed over her purse. Her hands were shaking so badly the strap slipped from her fingers. Robert opened it on the coffee table. Inside was a small dark pouch. The exact size and color of the pouch Linda had carried on camera. No one breathed normally. Robert pulled it out. Linda whispered, "Robert, don't." He opened the pouch and tipped the ring into his palm. A small gold band. 3 tiny diamonds. The heirloom that had supposedly vanished after I went upstairs. The object his family had used to turn me into a criminal. Denise covered her mouth. One cousin said, "Oh my God." Mark sat down on the fireplace hearth like his legs had lost strength. Chloe sobbed. "Mom said it was just until Sunday. She said Sarah would apologize. And then we could say we found it in the bedroom. And everyone would move on." The room shifted. That sentence did what the video had not finished doing. It proved intent. Not confusion. Not grief. Plan. Linda spun toward Chloe. "I told you not to answer." Robert looked at Linda with a kind of disgust that made even Denise look away. "You let my daughter sit there while Sarah emptied her purse," he said. "You let everyone call her a thief while the ring was in Chloe's bag." Linda's face twisted. "I was trying to teach her a lesson." There it was. Not an apology. A confession wearing pride. "A lesson?" Mark said. Linda looked at him like he had betrayed her. "Yes. A lesson. She needed to understand she does not get to walk into this family and take over. You changed after you married her. You don't come when I call. You ask her before agreeing to things. She had to learn that trust in this family is earned." I said quietly. "So you framed me as a thief. To scare your son into doubting me." "I never said your name," Linda snapped. That sentence burned away the last tiny part of me that wanted her to feel remorse. I picked up the handwritten apology from the coffee table and held it up. "My name is on this paper." Linda went pale. I read the first line out loud. "I apologize for removing the ring and causing pain to the family." Then I looked around the room. "You wanted me to sign a lie so you could use it forever." No one defended her. Not Denise. Not Chloe. Not Mark. Linda said, "You are embarrassing me in my own home." I looked at the empty ring box, the purse, the apology paper, and the faces that had watched me be searched. "No," I said. "You embarrassed yourself. I am just refusing to hide it for you." Then I sent the clips to the family group chat. All of them. I sent the screenshots of Linda's Facebook post. I sent the photo of the handwritten apology. And I sent one message. The ring was not stolen. It was placed in Chloe's purse after Linda carried it into Chloe's room before I arrived. I will not discuss privately what I was accused of publicly. Anyone who called me a thief can apologize directly or not contact me at all. Phones started buzzing around the room. The group chat went silent for about 30 seconds. Then one cousin wrote, "Wait, what?" Another wrote, "Linda?" The cousin who had written "Family doesn't steal from family" deleted his message. Linda grabbed her phone. Robert said, "Put it down." She ignored him. He said it again, louder. "Linda, put it down." She did. That was the third crack. Robert took the ring box from the table. He put the ring back inside, closed it, and held it in his hand. "This was my mother's ring," he said. "You used it to destroy someone in our family. You do not get to keep it." Linda looked like he had slapped her. "You can't take that from me. I should have taken responsibility for it years ago," he said. Then he turned to Chloe. "You will write in the group chat exactly where the ring was." Chloe cried harder. Robert did not soften. "You sat there while Sarah emptied her purse. You will write it." Chloe picked up her phone with shaking hands. A minute later, the group chat showed her message. "The ring was in my purse. Mom told me to keep it there until Sarah apologized. Sarah did not take it." I watched the message appear. I thought it would feel satisfying. It did, but not cleanly. It also made me feel sick, because that was how little it took to stop the lie. One sentence from the person who had hidden the ring, and she had chosen not to send it until she was cornered. Mark finally stood. His face was gray. "Sarah," he said. I held up one hand. "Not here." He stopped. I turned to Linda. "If you post about me publicly again, I will post the clips under it. If anyone from this family contacts me to defend what you did, they will get the same videos. I am done being polite so you can look innocent." Linda whispered, "You have turned my family against me." "No," Robert said. "You did that." I left after that. There was no speech at the door. No dramatic final line. I walked out with my keys in my hand, got into my car, and drove 2 streets away before I had to pull over, because I was shaking too hard to keep driving. The first apology came from Robert before I got home. "I failed you Thursday night. I should have stopped it. I am sorry." I cried when I read it, which made me angry at myself. I did not want the bare minimum to comfort me. But after days of being treated like a criminal, one clear apology felt like air. Denise texted an hour later. "I was wrong. I am sorry for pressuring you." I did not answer right away. 3 cousins apologized. 2 were vague. 1 was honest. I believed Linda because it was easier than asking questions. "I'm sorry." That one I appreciated. Linda deleted her Facebook post. Robert commented on it before she could remove everything. The ring was not stolen. Sarah was falsely accused. Linda's post was misleading and should not have been made. Then the post disappeared. Screenshots already existed. Mark came home around midnight. I was sitting at the kitchen table with a glass of water I had not touched. He stood in the doorway and looked at me like he was seeing the damage for the first time. "I'm sorry," he said. I said, "For what?" He closed his eyes. I needed him to say it. Not because I wanted a perfect speech. Because vague apologies are where cowards hide. He said, "For not defending you. For asking you to empty your purse. For believing there was even a chance you stole it. For letting my mother make me your accuser. For caring more about keeping the room calm than protecting my wife." That was the first real apology he had given me. It did not fix it. I told him that. He nodded and started crying. "I know." "No," I said. "I don't think you do. You watched me empty my purse while your sister sat there with the ring in hers. Your mother counted on you being weak, and you were. That is not something an apology erases." He put both hands on the back of a chair like he needed it to stand. "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to stop asking me how to repair what you broke. Start by telling your family the truth without me making you." He picked up his phone. For once, he did not call his mother first. He wrote in the group chat, "My wife did not steal the ring. My mother lied. Chloe helped hide it. And I failed Sarah by not defending her. Anyone who accused her owes her a direct apology. Until that happens, do not contact us about family events." He showed it to me before sending. I said, "Send it if you mean it when your mother cries." He sent it. Linda called him 17 times that night. He did not answer. The next morning, she left a voicemail saying I had poisoned him against his own mother. He played it on speaker because I told him there would be no more private conversations about me. Linda sobbed that she had been under emotional stress. She said everyone was twisting her intentions. She said she only wanted to test whether I respected the family. Mark picked up the phone and called her back with me sitting beside him. When she answered, he said, "You framed my wife." Linda said, "Do not use that word. What word would you prefer? I am your mother. And Sarah is my wife." There was a silence so long I thought the call had dropped. Then Linda said, "So she won." Mark looked at me. For the first time, I saw him understand something he should have understood years earlier. To Linda, this had always been a competition. He said, "If that is how you see my marriage, we need distance." She hung up. For the next few weeks, things were ugly. Linda refused to apologize. She sent one message through Robert saying she regretted how the situation was interpreted. I told Robert I was not accepting apologies written in fog. Chloe sent a long message claiming she was scared of Linda and did not know how to say no. I told her fear explained why she obeyed her mother. It did not explain why she watched me be searched and stayed silent. She replied, "I know." That was the last thing she sent. Robert brought the ring to our house 2 weeks later. I did not ask for it. I did not want it. He placed the blue velvet box on our kitchen table and said, "My mother would have been ashamed of what Linda did with this." I told him I could not accept the ring. Not after what it had been used for. Not while his family was still acting like the real problem was that the truth had been shown. He nodded. Then he said something I still think about. Linda always believed family meant loyalty to her version of events. I let that go on too long. That was the closest anyone came to naming the real disease. Mark and I are still married. But we are not pretending this was a misunderstanding. We are in counseling. He has not been to his parents' house since that Sunday. He blocked Linda for 30 days after she left 4 voicemails accusing me of destroying her family. After that, he unblocked her only for emergency texts. And even those are shared with me. I have not attended any family brunches, birthdays, or church lunches. Denise invited me once and promised Linda would not be there. I thanked her and declined. Being believed after evidence appears is not the same as being protected before it does. Some relatives apologized. Some stayed silent. A few acted like the whole thing was family drama that got out of hand. I learned a lot from who needed proof, who needed pressure, and who needed permission to do the right thing. The memory that stays with me is not the ring hitting Robert's palm. It is not Linda's face when the footage played. It is my purse upside down on Linda's coffee table, my keys, my receipts, my tampons, my ordinary life spread out in front of people who were waiting for guilt to fall out. That does not disappear just because the truth came later. But something did change. For years I thought keeping peace meant staying quiet when Linda made me feel small. I thought if I did not react, I was being mature. I thought if I absorbed enough little insults, eventually she would run out of them. She did not run out. She escalated. She used a ring, a daughter, a living room, a group chat, and her son's weakness to try to turn me into a thief. She thought I would be too ashamed to fight back. She thought Mark would choose comfort over truth. For a while he did. Then the camera showed what words could not. I do not feel victorious. I do not feel healed. I feel clear. I did not steal that ring. I did not imagine the way they treated me. I did not damage that family by defending myself. Linda tested how easily she could make a room turn against me. And now she knows the answer. Not as easily as before.